Welcome to Headless Audiobooks. This is a new channel dedicated to turning books into audiobooks for ease of access. None of these videos are advertised, both as a copyright problem and for personal care. Advertisements suck. Most of these books are not my own, save for the series titled The Spark. Thank you for listening and please enjoy the audiobook. Prologue, the beginning. Another pointless, boring day at school. Michael ran his hands through his disheveled hair, his tangled locks a remnant of a sleepless night. Fatigue was evident across his face, bags forming underneath his dark blue eyes. His unfocused gaze fixed on the clock, watching the minutes inch by. If only there was something exciting to do. He smiled, imagining what peculiar activities he'd indulge in once he returned from this purgatory of a school. In his mind, anything would be preferable to his current predicament. Now, I'm sure you know the ins and outs of the Egyptians by now, but today I'm going to cover something more. Mystical Mrs. Hill announced dramatically, sweeping Michael out of daydream. Uh-oh. Mrs. Hill always took on a dramatic tone when she found her students uninterested in a topic. She began to draw a large circle on her whiteboard, adding hieroglyphs spiraling inwards, eventually converging on a single point. Is the circle of Isis. Clap. I'm going to need everybody's attention for this lesson, please. Despite her serious tone, a small giggle flew from her mouth after observing her students jolted out of their sleep. These symbols here represent a long line of text, which I will not translate for you, but it is known that it was Haker, which in simpler terms, is Egyptian magic. Weird, right? Without waiting for an answer, she pointed to 3 sets of hieroglyphs. These words are Ra, Ka, and Men, which sounds really weird to say. I can't imagine going up to people back then and just going, Ra, Ka, Men. She exclaimed in a very masculine voice, jiggling after her feet. All right everybody, say it with me. Ra, Ka, Men. Is it getting brighter in here? Ra, Ka, Men, the students echoed back. Oh yeah, it's definitely brighter. Mrs. Hill, I think your light bulb might be breaking. Someone shouted. What's going on? It's so bright. My eyes. My poor eyes. The light enveloped the room, quickly becoming too bright to bear, and Michael forced his eyes shut. It pierced his eyelids anyway, becoming even brighter than before. Faster and faster, the world became nothing. All that remained was the light. His world became white as he gave up on being calm, instead plunging his head towards his desk, but there was nothing there. He fell forward still, his face diving into the floor, causing even more panic. What's going on? An unfamiliar voice pierced through the herd of screaming people. Your Highness. We messed up. What the hell? Chapter 1, A Sad Start. We messed up. The blinding light slowly faded from Michael's eyes. What the hell? Where am I? Son of a bitch. Am I blind? Please say I'm not blind. I think I peed a little. His classmates voiced their thoughts aloud, blatantly showing their confusion. All laid on the floor, their hands covering their disturbed eyes. They slowly came to, observing the clean marble floor, save for Richard's accident. A man in a lab coat strode across the room, the sudden movement catching Michael's eye. He approached a rather fancy-looking man, adorned in a long, gold robe decorated with golden roses. His golden blonde hair camouflaged with the rising sun, the young man leaving an impression of royalty. What happened, Arun? He asked impatiently, staring wide-eyed at the collection of weeping children. Well, we may have been off with our calculations, sire. Just a wee bit. He bowed deeply. Oh yes, I'm sure you were very off. Off by around 30 times the number. Why in the blazing abyss are there 30 heroes in my father's ballroom? He lashed out at the scientist, grabbing his collar and shaking it violently. He grabbed his nose and sighed angrily. Whatever. We will have to make do. He turned to the students. Follow me, all of you. Then turned and marched through a door. Come on. Everybody up. 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 The scientist began helping students to their feet and pushing them towards the door, where they proceeded to follow their host. They walked past door after door, sometimes glimpsing a person through the entrances. Michael could do nothing but observe as they marched to a large gate, supposedly guarded by bulking men, covered head to toe in black armor outlined with gold. The gate led to a room dwarfing the last, large pillars of marble supporting the massive roof illuminated by the morning sun. A red carpet lay outstretched, the ends leading to what could only be described as a throne. It was quite the view, seeing the large throne made of pure gold, the seat cushioned with large, red pillows. Carvings of roses and thorns lined its entirety, giving off the impression of beauty. Beauty could also describe the man sitting on the throne. His firm posture showed absolute confidence, accompanied with a sense of strength. On top of his head lay a large crown, filled with precious jewels. Undoubtedly, he was a king. He also had bright blonde hair, with high cheekbones and a peaceful smile. "Welp, I think my brain has imploded," Michael said, dumbfounded. "Anyone know what's going on?" All he received were shrugs and shaking heads. "Greetings, heroes. Welcome to the country of Aldma." The king stood up, announcing his presence. "Heroes? Where? Who? I am glad to meet all of you. Why are there so many of you?" The king stuttered. "Ah, that may have been our fault, your majesty," the weird scientist answered. "We may have accidentally made the summoning circle much larger than needed," he said in air quotes. "Why does this always happen with you, Alrune? Every time it's so. I accidentally put in too much mana. Or whoops. I accidentally blew up the palace garden. Every god-forsaken time." He leaned back in his chair, a small bead of sweat rolling down his forehead. "No matter. I greet you all the same, young ones." He turned his attention back to the students. "Allow me to introduce myself. I am King Henry VIII, and this is my son, Prince Arthur." He motioned to the man who led us here. "That explains why they look so alike. Your summoning today is a matter of great importance to our survival. From the north comes a horde of demons, led by the current Demon King. To our west lies Arden, who takes advantage of our weakening state, and gangs of pirates and bandits plague our lands to the south. Accompanied with the increased monster sightings, it seems like our country may be doomed to fall, which is where you come in, my heroes." This garnered cautious looks from the students. What is he trying to say? Michael thought, his thoughts matching those of his classmates. You heroes must take up arms, learn our ways, and help save us from devastation. Become our sword and our shield, and protect the citizens of this country. The king shouted across the hall, his determination reverberating around the room. Why should we? Michael turned his head to see Cal, a rather aggressive person standing with his arms crossed. You did some weird magic thingy, summoned us here against our will, and you're asking us to fight things for you. That sounds like a load of bullshit to me. Cal. Watch your language. Mrs. Hill finally spoke up. After reprimanding Cal, she turned to the king, a displeased frown upon her face. But I have to agree with him. You're asking my students to give up their lives for something they had no business in. Send us back right now, mister. The king was shocked. It seems like he hadn't expected the heroes to decline. I would if I could, fair lady. He bowed his head to her. But unfortunately, there is no possible way to return you back to your home world. What? How dare you? You. I'm very sorry, fair lady, that this is not to your satisfaction. There remains only two options now, become the heroes of Aldma, or leave. I'd be able to give you basic supplies, but from then on you're on your own. Mrs. Hill's cheeks grew an angry red, and she stamped her foot in anger. We have families, goddammit. You've forcefully taken these children away from their parents, their brothers and sisters. Now you're saying you can't send us back? Ugh. I won't be able to see my family again? Michael thought of his parents, a loving couple who always treated him with love and care. He let out a tear as he thought of his younger sister, who just turned 12. No. It can't be true. "I'm sorry," said the king. "I am honestly and truly sorry." He stared at the crying students, accompanied by their angry teacher. Leaning over to his attendant, he quickly instructed him. "Guide them to their rooms, deliver their meals to them when ordered." The attendant nodded and bowed, before motioning towards the weeping figures across the hall. "Follow him, and you will find your rooms. You have until tomorrow at dusk to make your decision. You may move around the castle freely until then." The only response he received was the leaking tears and quiet sniffles of grieving heroes. Chapter 2, Traitor. "Welcome, heroes. Welcome. I do hope you all slept well." The man was met with quiet groans and bleak, empty stares from the weary and baggy eyes of the heroes. Sleep had proven to be an uncommon task, their minds preoccupied with the worrying thoughts that restlessly cycled through them. The man in question was wrapped in a long black and gold cloak, with a small imprint of a golden rose marking his line of work. Spiraling around his neck was a long, grey beard, contrasting to his bright blue eyes and his bald head. His rough, calloused hands held an ornate staff, the end managing to cradle a large, glimmering blue crystal, which could barely fit in the size of Michael's palm. The light it gave off felt unnatural, as if it was not meant to be there, despite being plain to see. Interrupting Michael's wandering thoughts, the man moved on, not waiting for a response from the heroes. Instead, he began to pace the room, his feet kicking up small piles of dust as he moved from one edge to the other, beginning to talk in a lecturing manner. "Heroes, as I'm sure you know well, you have been summoned to our world." He spoke quickly and without pause, his words echoing across the tower. "At this moment, there is only two choices for you lot. Either work under the service of His Majesty, or leave the castle and brave the dangers of the world on your own." He said this quite matter-of-factly, his face unhesitant. "You will not receive support from our Lord if you choose to leave, but if you labor under His rule, He will supply you with riches and power beyond your furthest desires. Diamonds, rubies, gold, money, women, power. Whatever you wish, within reason, will be given to you through the direct orders of His Majesty, and of course we will train you in the arts of magic and sorcery. We will teach you how to defend yourself, and of course how to survive in this cruel world." He thumped the ground with his staff, and the beautiful gem began to hover in the air, making its way towards the center of the room, before resting in place. The heroes stared at the crystal in awe, their eyes glazed over in excitement as the crystal moved. They rushed up to the crystal, not quite daring enough to touch it, but getting close, nonetheless. Now children, calm down for me. I'm going to teach you all how to do this one day, but first, you must make your decision. You must decide your future for yourself." He walked to the door, his cane supporting his weight as he moved. "I will give you 5 minutes to decide. Please be prepared to relay your answer to me," he announced as the door creaked shut, leaving the conflicted heroes to their thoughts. 5 minutes later, the door reopened, the old man stepping through the door, but he was surprisingly accompanied by the king, his red regal robes dragging across the dusty floor as he proudly stepped in. "Heroes," the king started. "Any who wish to work under me, stand to my right, and any who wish to leave must stand to my left. This is your final decision, so choose wisely." Without any more to add, the king stood in the center of the room, waiting for their decision. "It's not as if we had a choice anyways," Michael thought to himself. There was no way they'd be able to survive, or at least attempt to survive in a foreign country without any money, weapons, or connections. The only real option was to stay put and see how things play out from there, and knowing that, he moved to the king's right, followed by every hero. They all understood the stakes here. They all came to terms with their grief and their anger last night, and now was the time to decide their move. "Well then, it appears your decision is unanimous. Perfect." He laughed a little, but his face quickly grew dark, his brows creasing. "There is one problem, however." He turned around to the old man, gesturing towards the heroes. "Neville, please form their cause for them." We will discuss our issue after that." The man bowed his rather shiny head in acceptance before proceeding to urge the heroes closer. "Now, heroes, I will open something called a magic core, one that determines your path in magic. Your variety of core will determine your aspect of magic, as well as the future courses we prepare for you." He gestured to himself, his voice similar to that of a scholar, perhaps a kind teacher. "For example, my core is a bright turquoise, signifying my attunement with wind magic. Now, do not be discouraged if your core is not to your choosing. Every person can use all forms of magic, but their core empowers their attune magic, in sense, making it much stronger than the rest. If you put in the hard work and effort, however, you will be able to use magic just as well as your own. It all depends on you, heroes." "How do we see our core?" Ken, Michael's close friend and classmate, spoke up, asking the question every hero was thinking. Without skipping a beat, the old man crisply replied, "Your forming will be rather forceful, since you do not currently have access to a core to view. Once I open it, and you visit your elemental tree, you will be able to look within yourself to see your core." Seeing their eyes squint with confusion when he talked about the elemental tree, he began to explain. "You will be visited by your attuned tree, the ones who harness magic and gift it to our realm. The trees will not only gift you a core, but an ability to help you along your way." The man grunted and hit the floor with his staff. "In exchange for magic, the trees will give you a task, a quest if you will. It can be as easy as getting a loaf of bread from the next town, but it can also be extremely deadly. Do not worry. These tasks are always manageable, and we will ensure your training prepares you for your quest. The Oracle has given us a startling announcement, but we will talk about that after your cores are opened. Be warned, you might feel a bit sick." He said this rather abruptly, his endless train of talking quickly coming to a stop as he raised his staff, releasing a white cloud into the room. Michael panicked as he started to feel drowsy, hearing the thumps of bodies falling as he quickly followed suit, his consciousness fading. Michael awoke in darkness, his surroundings pitch black, yet the room still felt brightened by something. He looked behind him, towards the source of the light, and saw a tree that seemed rather dead. It had fallen on its side, roots showing above the ground, its limbs mangled and broken. "Greetings, hero from another world. Welcome to my domain." A small, childlike voice racked through Michael's brain, as if it was inserted into his mind by force. "What the who are you?" Michael quickly asked aloud, seeing a bright glow coming from the dead remains of the tree. "My name is Mortis, elemental tree of hellfire. Would you mind freeing me? My growth seems to be hindered by the corpse of my predecessor." Michael was confused at that, moving forward to the dead tree to see a tiny sapling growing between the dead roots of the tree. He grabbed the base of the tree and pushed with all his might, grunting as it ever so slightly shifted, freeing the tiny sapling which seemed to pulse with a fiery blaze, almost seeming happy. "Well done, Michael. Now, you've come to form your core, have you not? I must explain a few things beforehand. Explain your abilities, the sort. Let's see. Ah yes. Class, ability, core, in that order. All right then, allow me to explain your class to you. I must warn you before I start, however." Michael's brows furrowed at that, the tone in the tree's voice grim. "You are truly in a bad spot, Michael. Hell cores are only given to heroes such as yourself, but if a hero is discovered to have a hell core, they are to be executed on sight." "What? What are you trying to say to me?" Michael stuttered, fear slowly seeping into his brain. "Simply put, if someone discovers your hell core, you're as good as dead." Chapter 3, Determined Despair. It took Michael several minutes to calm down, panic fluttering through his brain, the only sound being the comforting voice of the tree. "Michael, listen to me please," the tree requested when the panic died down. He wasn't angry, and he wasn't sad. He was just upset and worried. "Michael, Having a hell core does not make you an evil person. It's a matter of how you use it. Now, we must continue. I don't have much time to explain everything. This might hurt you a little bit. I can't change your quest, and my predecessor chose this quest, not me. It was made out of spite, in anger of the hero that took its life. Your quest, your goal to train and move towards throughout your entire life, is to eliminate the other heroes. Kill the other heroes? What the hell is that supposed to mean? I have to kill all my friends? Michael was angry now, his voice raising in volume as he spoke. That is not necessarily true, Michael. This quest has a rather unique completion. You do not have to necessarily kill them, but harvest their soul ash when they die. What in the hell is soul ash? Michael spat, a small tear threatening to leak from his eye, but he wiped it away, unable to let himself cry. After a person dies, a remnant of their soul is left over, called soul ash, which you can harvest. Very few people can see soul ash, but if it relates to a quest, you are able to see it. Each one of your fellow heroes' soul ash that you harvest makes you stronger, in ways I cannot say. What I can say although, is that you do not have to kill them. You just have to be where they died. That doesn't help anything. My friends still have to die. I don't want any of them to die. He continued to complain, anger growing with each word. Everyone dies, Michael, even me. You must accept it to move forwards. And besides, you have no need to worry about them, you need to worry about yourself. You cannot tell anyone your secret, cannot let anyone even have a suspicion of it. Your friends will turn you in and you'll be executed within a day. Why do you care about me? You're the one giving me all this. I don't want it. I don't want your power. Michael yelled, his eyes fixated on the tiny sapling speaking to him through his mind. I am a forgotten element, even by the demons who use my magic. You are the first champion I've had in several centuries, and you will probably be the last. You have the last Hellfire core. You are my champion, my scion, and I will give you power and strength to survive, in due time. You are not evil, but you will die because you are believed to be. Now stop talking, I have more information to give. Your class is Infiltrator, not that it matters much. You can change the appearance of your clothing, and create new clothing at will to efficiently blend into the crowd and ensure you're not found. Your status is disguised as another class, so you will not be easily detected. You get in, make your move, and get out. Good luck, Infiltrator. The sapling shuddered. Its branches, which contained a dark red fire, began to glow brighter as a blinding light enveloped Michael, a red mist entering his chest and solidifying, forming a magic core, which planted itself on his heart, pumping mana through his veins. He grunted as he suddenly became aware, feeling the mana pulse within him, a small sensation sweeping through his body as he suddenly felt something different. He could sense the mana around him, the air intoxicatingly filled with it. Congratulations, Infiltrator, on the formation of your Hellfire core. Sentient demons will sense your class and pay you no attention. I have one more thing to help you in this dark time. I'm going to give you a fake class, quest, and core. Fake? How does that work? Can't they see my core? Doesn't using Hellflame give me away? Michael asked, his curious brain full of adrenaline, slowly processing his situation. Hellfire cores allow the user to use regular fire magic, so you will say you have a fire core. Your class is Spy, and your quest is Stop the Cult of. What's a good evil name? Naraximus. Perfect. Your quest is to stop the cult of Naraximus, who plot to destroy the country of Aldma. Alright then, I guess it's settled. Michael said, still confused and scared. As he thought about it though, he began to feel determined. He knew he was going to have to lie, and he was going to be paranoid and overly cautious, but if he worked hard he believed that he could do it. He could survive this crazy world, without killing anyone. Oh, how wrong he was. Michael emerged in the same spot, on the floor. He raised himself up, slowly getting to his feet, along with all the other heroes. The old man was lounging on a bench, smoke bubbling from his mouth, as he smoked a long pipe, taking it out of his mouth as the last few heroes awoke. Exhaling the smoke, the man helped them to their feet, before tapping his staff on the ground. "Before we start, does anyone have a special core? There are several high-tier magic cores that are given to heroes, and my curiosity escapes my patience." The old man sounded rather elated, and Michael's eyes furrowed in thought. "Do they know of my Hellfire core? Are they trying to bait me out immediately?" The room was silent, nobody daring to make a move, a cold breeze fluttering through the window, while birds chirped in the sunlight. Michael's eyes darted left and right, looking for signs of danger, but he could see nothing. It was just silent. Ken was the first to move, his hand slowly raising. "Sir, I was given a solar core, and I've been told that it's quite rare." He spoke loudly, his voice confident and firm. The old man smiled with glee, moving towards Ken. "My boy, you have acquired a higher-tier magic. This places you as one of the elites, and we will assign extra training and resources for your continued growth. Well done." He finished congratulating him, and turned again towards the rest of the group. "Any others?" In total, there were 3 different higher-tier users. There was Ken, a solar core, Sarah, a lightning core, and Cal. Of course it's Cal, the void core user. Together, they made the elites of the hero group, the ones who were to give hope to the rest of Aldma. "Now heroes, please follow me to the throne room, where we will discuss our next issue. We will soon discuss the assignment of trainers and tutors for each one of you, as well as the start of weapons and strategy training. Eventually, every one of you will lead at least a squadron of soldiers, so you must be prepared at the time." The old man moved as he spoke, opening the doors for the large throne room. "Your era starts now, it's just a matter of what you do with it." Chapter 4, You Are Alone. The king sat upon his throne, looking rather eager and anxious, his face determined and unmoving as he watched the heroes enter, creating a semicircle around the steps to his throne. Satisfied, he cleared his throat, and spoke. "Heroes, congratulations on the formation of your magical cores. I hope it went smoothly and without difficulty." He paused, trying not to mix his words as he spoke. "Now, we must discuss the problem at hand." He could see the eyes of several heroes widen, others burrowing in confusion, curious about the situation. "There is a traitor among you heroes, an evil individual tasked with the destruction of what we value, given the powers of the demons. Does anyone here have this power?" Gasps erupted throughout the crowd, the previously curious expressions of the hero turning into a mixture of surprise and fear. No one spoke, however, including Michael, who currently had a small band of sweat running down the back of his neck. He knew what happens to people like him. He knew what fate would befall him if he turned himself in, and he desperately wanted to avoid that outcome. "We will not hurt you, and we will not punish you if you speak up. You will be separated from the rest of the group and be individually trained, away from the heroes and important figures. If you do not speak up, when you are discovered, you will be tried for treason and hanged." That shook Michael. The tree was right, he would die if they learned his secret. His head was filled with the horrifying scene of his hanging body, or his head on a pike, or whatever medieval horror came into the realm of imagination. He internally shuddered, slowly stabilizing his emotions as he continued to listen, along with the other, very scared heroes. What are they planning to do to us?" One of the heroes spoke up, their words stuttering in fear of being accused as they spoke. The king only shook his head, a large sigh erupting from his mouth. They received a quest to eliminate the other heroes. Simply put, their goal is to kill you all. Michael clenched his fist, feeling his body shake. "I can't let that happen. I will not hurt anyone. But..." He relaxed, his movements unseen to the rest of the group. "I must not let myself be captured or discovered. I need to fit in perfectly with the other heroes. Well, since the traitor will not come forward, you are all dismissed to your rooms. Feel free to mingle about, and talk amongst one another, but you must be back in time for the evening meal. My leading scientist Halrun will collect information on your core, quest, and class later. Until then, heroes, I would suggest ignoring the existence of a traitor. Continue on with your daily lives, and study hard. You will all become saviors of the realm one day. He waved off the heroes, who began to walk back to their rooms, each of their minds spinning with a new threat. A traitor? I can't believe it. Michael heard the excited whispers of two of his classmates. Well, I hope we can find them before they try to kill us. The other replied. Yay, I hope they're just found quickly. I'd rather have them get hanged over us getting hurt. The first one said back, each word striking Michael like a rock. Wait, what if it's you? What if you're trying to manipulate me to murder me? The other one exclaimed. Yay, right. As if I would hurt my best friend in the whole wide world. I'm hurt just at the thought of it. Michael sauntered out of earshot, managing to find his room. He opened the door, his frown stuck on his face, when he saw Ken sitting in a chair. Shit. What is he here for? He almost faltered. Almost? Hey man. What's up? Ken spoke casually and calmly to Michael, seemingly unthreatening and unsuspicious. He didn't look like he knew anything. I must be cautious about this. As long as I don't give him any ideas, I'll be safe. I don't know, man. I'm just a tad bit overwhelmed. Too many things going on at once, you know? Michael didn't skip a beat, placing his hand on his forehead. It's a fantasy, you know? It just doesn't feel like it does in stories. We're here, we can't go back, and we don't even fully know what we're supposed to do. What's our goal? We're supposed to follow the king, but we don't even know what he wants from us. There's just too much uncertainty. He shook his head, staring off into the distance as he spoke. I understand what you're saying. We're just stuck here, and we're being forced to work for this king. But I feel like it's probably one of the best options we have. He's willing to help us, to train us, and give us powers. I feel like that warrants our help, kind of in return for helping us. Ken put his hand on Michael's shoulder. One day, when we're a bunch of badasses taking down the bad guys, we're going to be thankful. You'll see. He chuckled at the thought. Well, if anyone here's gonna be a badass, it's gonna be you, Mr. Solar Core. I'm stuck over here with a fire core. You're gonna get tutored and taught everything you need. I'll probably just be left in the dust. Michael let out his annoyances all at once. He wasn't mad per se at Ken, just at the predicament he was in. Police, everybody's gonna be a badass. We're heroes. We're the hope of the kingdom. The people believe in us, even if we don't. And one day, I bet you are going to go down in the history books. We just have to get past the first part. He paused for a moment, thinking. I guess it's just important to remember that there are 30 of us, all in the same situation. We're all struggling together, and we'll all get through this together. You've just got to remember that you're not alone. With that, he walked off, leaving Michael to himself. You're so wrong. Michael thought, his fists clenching. I am alone. Chapter 5, A Learning Experience. A few hours later, a knock came from Michael's door, causing him to stir. It appeared that he had fallen asleep, although he didn't remember it. Sitting up, he worked his mind into a functional state, before hearing the knocking again. Who is it? He asked, stretching his body and moving out of the bed. The door opened, revealing a familiar face, one which he barely recognized. It was Alrune, the man that accompanying Prince Arthur in the summoning ritual. His coat, which Michael first thought was a lab coat, was actually just a long white robe, adorned with a golden rose over his heart. He was well built, with a young, almost baby-like face, save for his pure white hair. At his side was a long scabbard, holding what Michael presumed to be a sword. Sorry to interrupt anything you were doing, kid, but I've come to take your information. The man's voice sounded young, clear, and slightly higher pitched, his stature and tone giving him almost a gentlemanly tone. To be clear, I know some heroes have had some disputes, so I must inform you that I am doing this routine with every other hero, not just you. It seems as if the introduction of the traitor has shaken them up, if not made them a little suspicious of every action. He reached out his hand, giving him a nod. My name is Alrune, head of research and magic in the Aldenian Kingdom. Michael took his hand, shaking it firmly. Michael, it's a pleasure to meet you, Alrune. He smiled brightly, seeing the man smile in return. Not to be rude, but I thought this country was called Aldma. How is Aldenian related? Ah, it was a pain for others to say Aldmerian, which is what our people were first called, so neighboring countries began to just call us Aldenians, which seems to fit better. Alrune chuckled, pushing up his spectacles. So Michael, care to tell me some details about yourself? I need to write down your information on you, starting with your name, class, corps, and quest. Michael hesitated for a moment, but he decided to speak. My name is Michael Locke. I'm a spy, and I have a fire corps. He said, pausing to let Alrune write. A spy. It's been a while since we've seen anyone with that class. I'm going to guess that your skill is something that allows you to infiltrate a group? Maybe blend in with a crowd or perhaps assimilate information? Alrune checked off boxes on a sheet of parchment as he spoke. Ah yes, my skill lets me pretty much manipulate my clothing, basically changing how they look, and creating new ones, stuff like that. I didn't really get much information from my tree. He went with the story that Mortis created, hoping that nothing immediately gave him away. Perfect. Sounds like we'll have some special jobs for you eventually. Now, let's talk about your quest. Alrune seemed complacent at Michael's answers, or perhaps he was just really good at acting. In any case, Michael was keeping up his facade, his face casual as he spoke. What's your quest, young man? The one your tree gave you. He set the tip of his quill on his parchment. The tree told me I had to stop a group called the Cult of Nraximus, but I didn't get anything other than that. Michael's heart practically stopped as he watched Alrune scribble down words, fearing that he would be discovered. His hand, unobservable to both of them, was shaking ever so slightly at the intensity of the situation. All right then, Michael, that all checks out. We'll have to do some digging about this cult you speak of, but if they are a threat, they're most likely very hidden. We'll contact you when we get more information. Alrune tore out the sheet of parchment and folded it neatly into a scroll. As for your information, no one save the king, his advisors and a few other important individuals such as myself will know this. The only real thing that will be kept secret from other heroes is your special skill and quest. Your core and such has to be publicly available so you can communicate accordingly. He stood up and shook Michael's hand again. We will be searching for tutors in the next few weeks, so you'll soon have your own private tutor, just to teach you the basics before you attend academy. Michael breathed a large sigh of relief as Alrune stepped out, closing the door behind him. He bent over, placing a hand on his fervently beating heart. I thought I was gonna get caught. How can I keep this a secret when I'm faced with stuff like this? I might as well be placing a sign that says traitor here if I can't control myself. Not to mention, I was not at all prepared for that. I wonder what Korkan received. I'll have to ask him later. He looked around his room, seeing a standard desk and chair in one corner of the dorm-sized room. On the desk he saw a stack of parchment and a quill, with complimentary ink. On the desk sat a lantern filled with a glowing yellow orb, that seemingly illuminated the entire room. On the other side of the room sat a large chest sitting next to an open armoire, several pairs of clothes neatly stacked inside. He walked across the wooden floor to his desk, opening a drawer and finding an empty journal, perfect for a diary. Underneath sat a bin, undoubtedly for a garbage and unneeded items. In total, the room was quite small, but it was cozy and comforting, as if it was already his home. He'd have to do some decorating, but that was for a later time. He spent the rest of the day exploring the castle, moving wherever his feet took him. As he was traveling one of the halls, he was stopped by a rather large man, with scars littering his face. Undoubtedly, this man had fought through many battles throughout his lifetime. You're one of the new heroes, aren't you, boy? His voice was gruff, scratchy almost. Why, yes, I am. And who are you, if I may ask? Michael replied with a polite tone, doing his best not to offend the burly man, who was rubbing his beard. Welcome to Aldmer, young one. My name's Ulrich, General of the Aldenian armies, and your soon-to-be combat instructor. It's an honor to meet one of the heroes. He stuck out his hand, firmly shaking Michael's. You're a little scrawny, but it's my job to ensure that you become one of the fiercest warriors in the land. Michael chuckled, a friendly smile appearing on his face. Pleased to meet you, General Ulrich. I look forward to working with you. He liked this man. He could already tell that Ulrich was a capable soldier, and to be respectful and firm, Michael tried to be as courteous as possible. I'm currently exploring the castle, trying to get a feel for things. Is there any place you might recommend for someone such as myself? He asked. Well, the Royal Library is a great place. The books there rival the Great Library of Nilos. If you want to your own research, or just relax, the library is a great place. Ulrich exclaimed, eager to give information. That's great. I'll be sure to head on over and check it out. He bowed his head, and continued to walk down the hall, his mind set on his new destination. He had seen it before, coming into the castle, so he hopefully wouldn't get lost. He turned in that direction, walking fast. All right then. Time to get acquainted with this new world.